Yeah.
Ready?
It started, yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming here. So I'll get started because I know you folks are on the way. Let them come on. First things first, please turn your laptops off. If you're having P1, P2, P3 issues, you may not get the juice of it. And also your cell phones off or put it in mute, basically, so that not to disturb others. And the way I'll start is, I've been doing this Scrum and Agile methodology for past 7 years. Started from a company B and also to other companies. And I would like to share it. And also I got myself a certified Scrum Master from Mike Cohn, who's one of the legendary Scrum process guy. If you just Google, you'll get a lot of books on him. The whole Mountain Goat software is by Mike Cohn. So he's an awesome orator. So it's a 2-day course. I try to, shrink it to as much as 60 to 90 minutes. You may get a minimum, information of it because it is so, the process is so intensive because it is, the way it works is, it is more play and go. So that's the way it works. So we'll try to do few exercises so you will get the hang of what this Agile and Scrum process is. Okay, being said that, go to the next slide. So this is something that I'm trying to start. If you could all raise up for 1 minute and close your eyes. Please raise up for 1 minute and just close your eyes. And one thing that I want to start, I always start with this Sanskrit slogan, but first I want to start it with today's event in Boston. So I would like to, whatever happened, hope that doesn't happen again. Just a minute of peace. We'll just close your eyes. Okay. So the next minute is like basically what I start with is you just thank whoever has helped at this point of time where you are today. Mata, Pita, Mitra, Kula, Guru, Devam. Of course, depending upon your intention, there may be so many mentors, your helpers, your sisters. Just think about them because that's what we are today. Because all of them has helped us to get here. Thank you, guys. Take a seat. So we'll go to the next one. Next slide. So why I did this is like basically it gives you the energy of the mind because that is more important for all the works that we do. We are working with the minds. So that relaxes a little bit. So the next one is, this is completely not Scrum, but it is a joke. So what the story is about is two young women, not in intention to anyone, this is just a joke. And they are very intended to do exercises like go hiking over the weekends. So one of those weekends, and they also go to adventure trips. So one of the weekends they ended up in a mountain which was a deep forest. And the deep forest they were walking. And one of them, when they turned back, he saw a big black bear. So they started running. They started running so fast, and they also started climbing a tree. And while they were climbing, one of the women started to take the sneakers and put it on. So the other woman was asking, "What are you doing? Putting the sneakers on? What is this?" So she said, "No, I got to start running once I jump out." She said, "Are you going to outrun the bear? Do you think so?" No, she said, "I just have to outrun you." Basically, that's the joke. So next. So how I started this is, with the process that I have learned from doing it. It's not just by the knowledge of teaching. It's by doing it. So this is the slogan or the proverb that I use. Giving a person one fish and you feed him for a day. But when you teach that person how to fish, then you feed him for a lifetime. So that's exactly what I'm trying to do. So let's get on before more. So what is Agile? So Agile is used in different acronyms with adjectives. Agile projects, Agile Labs, Agile Experiments, Agile PLM, the team who's here, Agile Vacation, you name it. Just Google, so many things are going Agile now. So, Agile Schools, even Agile Families. So let's go into what exactly is Agile. So Agile, you can go to the next slide. So Agile, if you go to the dictionary, what it says is able to move quickly and easily. And an example or relation is Steve Jobs truly embraced agility throughout his life. So Agile is like, it's how you adapt and then how you accomplish. And I would say we all have adapted so much to come here, and then with whatever, our knowledge and then the knowledge that we have in what we see in the projects, it is there, but the Scrum process, it puts it to a different model for it, which gives you much more inspect and adapt. Please move on to the next slide. So I'm not going to go into every slogan here. This is the lead by Lisa Atkins. She's one of the leading Agile coaches. She coaches major companies across the globe, and she has written a book as well on coaching Agile teams. Next. Oh, we clicked on the quote. So one other thing that is important is success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. So why I put this is, in this, they feel like if you put Agile and stuff, everything will be successful. There's going to be fast, super speed, and everything is success and nothing happens. No, there will be issues. But we need to make sure we learn from that, we adapt, and then we move on to make sure that we continue on and do better. So that's what the Agile process is also. So Winston Churchill's quote really just fits into the system, so that's why I added that. Please move on. So Agile frameworks, there are like multiple frameworks for Agile, starting from Scrum, Scrum XP Hybrid, Custom Hybrid, I don't know, Kanban, you name it, so many are there. But the max market you could see is Scrum is the topper on all of this. So that's why Scrum is being used not only in software, it is being used in other areas of sectors as well. We'll move on. Next, it will only show all the items. So basically the topic I want to cover is the overview of the Scrum, what the Scrum is, and the sprints or iterations there will be. Product backlog, which is basically our requirements backlog in this model. What the team is and what they do. How to track progress in Agile Scrum projects, and what the meetings are also called as ceremonies that we will discuss. We will go into release planning depending upon the time, if we have time, but we will try to get as much we could so that the information is shared. And always, I will try to stop at every 25th or minute so that you can have questions, so that it is concentrated to that minute rather than putting questions throughout. I would love to be interactive, but the time frame is short, so everybody needs to get the juice. So we'll try to, we can take 5-minute questions and then we can follow on anytime. Please move on. Please move on. So this is the, how many of you have seen this picture or, okay. So basically, kind of a project 101, I guess. So olden days where they would say, I don't want to go into detail. Basically, the customer says something, and then you write something, and then you deliver something, and then you charge him something, and what he end of the day he gets is something like that. So that's what it says. So let's move on to our Scrum process. Yeah, one other reason I would say that is very relevant is when I started projects in 97, 98, those years, right? It's always 1-year projects. It's nothing less than a year. And we see the customer only end up going live, right? Because it's all like, oh, we go back in a tunnel and then we hide and then we do the product. So nobody cares what you did. All I want is the product output, because by one year, everything has changed. The market has changed. So they'll say, oh, this is not what we need. And then we go back, oh, we'll do a phase 2. We will do a change request. Anyway. So Scrum process is founded by Jeff Sutherland and Ken Schwaber. These are basically the inventors of this. And it was made a formal process in 1995. in a conference called Upsla. Okay, move on. So this is an interesting content. Actually, in my actual session, we talked about it for an hour. So what this is by Japanese, two Japanese fellows from Toyota Motors, and their new product development game. It's a paperwork that they did in 1986, and in Harvard Business Review. So what they're talking about is a relay race, which was basically our waterfall method, if you can compare it, was may conflicting with the goals of maximum speed and flexibility. Instead, a holistic or a rugby approach, which is basically the Scrum or an Agile approach, where a team tries to go the distance as a single unit by passing the ball back and forth for serving today's competitive requirements in 1986. We are in 2013, right? Like today, the competition is not only the competition, the way the approach has changed is the software is needed in 30 days. And actually there's a book by Jeff and Ken that named as Software in 30 Days. Because it is feasible. Because it's lean, you can get a lot of sample code, you go get it done. So it is actually a Japanese manufacturing process that has come into Agile, Scrum software process. So we went on talking about each areas of these pieces of it, but it goes on and on. But basic, the gist or the essence of this is that's where he read it, Jeff read it, and then came up with the process of Scrum process for the software industry. So there are several ways you can explain Scrum, but it is more like trying to show you how simplification you can do so that you can get to it, simplify, you can reiterate it. A framework wherein the team is self-managing. Basically, the team does basically they're self-responsible. Improves continuously, so that is the key element of it, and delivers results out of the product every nth day. So the nth day is it's approximately 2 weeks, or even sometimes even they have 1 week sprints. But the maximum is always 4 weeks. More than 4 weeks, this is not Scrum. That is something else. So you need to max yourself for 4 weeks, and then you need to put some iterations there. So the other way of saying that is the three key, the team or the roles that are there are product owner, Scrum Master, and the team. So that's the flat system. So the key guys are Scrum Master, Product Owner, and everybody else is team. So Product Owner owns the what to build decisions. Basically, he is the requirements guy. I need this, I need that. The Scrum Master owns the Scrum process. The process-wise, he's the guy. Like I do a Scrum Master, I own the process. Team owns how to build it. So that's up to them. So it is like segregated in such a way nobody has to go to the other door. Like a product owner should not be saying, hey, why don't you use J2EE? No. That's something the team should decide. Let's move on. So this is the Agile Manifesto, which talks about what are the key elements of the Agile methodologies. The individuals and interactions over process and tools. So the individuals and interactions are what it is it's not saying that don't do that, but this is like primary and that is secondary. That's what the manifesto is. So you give more focus to the individuals and interactions rather than process and tools. There'll be like a few more. Working software rather than over comprehensive documentation. We don't go to FRD, BRD, DRD, whatever documentation cycles. We show what as a product, and that's the feedback that we get out of it, and then we move on to the next one. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation is an awesome one, right? So basically, the customer is collaborating with you iteratively. So every sprint, he's going to look at what you did. Rather than, oh, I said this and you didn't do this, that's the contract negotiation. So the focus is more on the customer being frequently watching what exactly you did. Responding to change over following a plan. So on-demand changes. that comes. Whereas in Agile methodology, you can pick it up. Whereas if you're going to the following the plan, oh, this is not coming until the phase 1. You come back at phase 2. So that's where the difference is. So you give more adaptability so that you can work towards what the key goals are. Move on to the next one. This showing, of course, pictures are always great. So shows the game, rugby game, which is kind of where he got that Scrum, naming convention of it. This is again a repeat of this, but still to give a very simplification of this. Scrum is an Agile framework, which could be used simple, medium, complex, name it software, manufacturing, you can go on and on. And the way you can use it is endless. But the steps are very simple. More to the next. The steps are, of course, we start with the backlog. That's our requirement. So the product owner, who's the requirements person, creates and updates the product backlog. So that's about the first entry point. The sprint planning happens where the team picks to the priority. So it is all prioritized. You pick what is on the top, as much you can do. And then they create what is called a sprint backlog, which is itemized tasks that the team is going to work on, the team members are going to work on. The team works on a sprint, usually, as I said, 2 to 4 is the max. So then they iterate. The team meets every day to assess its progress. That's the daily Scrum. We'll talk about it in detail. The Scrum Master keeps the team focused on the sprint goal. That's the key goal. The sprint review at the end of the sprint to showcase what has been done as a working software to the stakeholders. Last but not the least, the sprint ends with a retrospective. That's a key meeting where you analyze what issues happen and how you can improve on the next sprint. That keeps going on. So always pictures are better. This is a nice picture. Oh yeah, just the background. Yeah. So this shows how the backlog created by the product owner, and then it is going on to the sprint planning where the team sits and then deciphers it into sprint backlog. You can see those itemized. And then the execution happens, and you can see on the top is the daily Scrum, and the bottom one is the 2 to 4 week iteration. And end of which you get the PSI, which is basically the potentially shippable product. That's the PSI. And the sprint review, which is where we showcase to the customers or the stakeholders, and then we inspect it up. Basically, we give the feedback right there, saying that yeah, this feature looks what I asked for. No, this doesn't look right. And then you go on to the sprint retrospective to make sure what went wrong, so that making sure the next time when we do this, we don't repeat the mistakes, and then we are getting better every sprint. This is a different, I'm not going to go into everyone's, basically different ways of looking at it. Basically how the vision becomes a PSI. So another way of looking at it. And this one, why I put it is like, there's a lot of things asked like, during the sprint, what do we do? So we need to do everything. So that's what it says. Development, you may have a design session, you may need to have a load testing, you may need to have load testing, you need to do end-to-end testing, but that's something that the team decides, because how far the doneness of that sprint should be. So accordingly, you can put each of them with the task items, because the task is that very basic, essential for this. And move on. So what is in a sprint, right? So what does this happen? So this is a 2-week sprint. I put together what exactly goes on. And move on. So we'll come by one. The first thing that happens is a sprint planning meeting. So you have the backlog created by the product owner. So we sit down and then chat to find out what is the team going to do for the next 2 to 4 weeks. And then itemize it to the tasks. So once they decide, this should be like not more than 3 hours. Time box. Time box is a very, very important thing in the whole Agile process. Because if you don't time box, this can go on to even 2 days, and you will never be getting out of that meeting. So we need to time box it, so that you can get what needs to be done for those 2 weeks or the 4 weeks, and then get on to doing the work. So next is, of course, our famous daily sync meeting, which happens every day, and most likely mornings. We'll go on to the offshore model. We'll talk about it as well. But for here, it would happen in the mornings when you start. So you start fresh with the updates and then move on to the tasks. So end of the 7th day, the 8th day, sorry, 10th day, which is the Friday, you have the sprint review meeting, which is where you showcase to the stakeholders what has been accomplished. And then they give the feedback, you go more detail, oh, we missed this, or this story we thought, those kind of conversations. And it's approximately 190 minutes maximum again. And of course, we can never end a sprint without having the retrospective. One other thing you would look at here is, see the whole Friday, it's kind of gone, vanished. So you need to commit yourself to the 9 days, because the 10th day is all about meetings. And if you, it depends, every project is different. I've had this way, I've had the other way as well. But trying to go towards that will help you the rest of the days. The team is not put onto meetings. The meetings are sometimes valuable and sometimes a distraction, right? So we need to look at if this happens, this is an ideal model, and of course, there's always tailor-made models. That's the reason of me putting Friday as across all the key ceremonies. Please move on. So this one doesn't happen every sprint. So what this is like, and also it doesn't need to be a complete team as well, which also there will be a slide I will be talking about in detail. So this basically saying the backlog grooming is, you may want to add a new item. You may want to delete an item. You may want to split an item. You may want to merge an item. All those happens here. Not an item, basically stories. The stories are the max of the whole sprint processes. Okay, this is a famous question, or most of them ask, it's Agile and Scrum, right? You don't do planning, right? That's a common question that the teams ask. No. There is 5 levels of planning, and that's what these are. This is from Rally Dev. Vision. What is that we are trying to accomplish? The vision is shared across all the team members. And then the product roadmap. What is that we are going to do it in next 1 year? Sometimes 2 years, but mostly 1 year is what you get. And the third is what the release is going to be. Is it going to be a phase 1 release, phase 2 release, and it could be like 6 months release, depending upon what your schedule is. And the fourth is of course the sprint planning or the iterative planning. So each iteration, you are doing the sprint planning where you go detail on what exactly you want to do. The daily, of course, the daily scrum that you're going to do. So that's the 5 levels of planning that happens for Agile process. So it's again the picture. I just want the Wikipedia, so it shows how things are here. Yeah, give me the next one. So the sprint doneness. This is a critical item as well. So how you say the sprint has been done, or doneness for one person may not be done for another person. So we need to come up with, it could be a checklist, and others. I'm going to show you a sample document as well. But it is an understanding between the team saying this is what the done will be, and we follow it as per what we decide, right? So that's what it is. Of course, potentially shippable product. Now, potentially shippable product is why is it potentially shippable product, right? So I've been in sprints where right out of the sprint, in 2 weeks, the product or the enhancement just goes live. In some places, it takes even 6 iterations before it goes live. So those are the differences. But our goal is to make the product potentially shippable. So that is the goal. Of course, it should be high quality, tested, and complete as per what the team has decided. And the team decides what the doneness is. It's a famous one. What it does very well. And I'm going to show you the sample document. So it depends. Ignore the content. So it could be a checklist like this, where you put it in front of each of your developers saying, yeah, have you done this, have you done this? But what should happen is, this should vanish after multiple sprints, because during your course of ramping up, maybe this may be needed. But once you do let's say 5 sprints, should all be part of your system. It should vanish, and then it should be part of, oh yeah, I did all those. I know by doing it, by practicing it. It doesn't have to be a document that should be shown. Can we move on? So the definition of done is also, this is from another input. So you could say for the business, it is feature. So for example, if you do a technology story, economy doesn't mean it. So for business, it is more what feature that has been accomplished is what he'll be looking for. And for him, the usability of it. Is it like easy to use, or how is it making me better to use that? Of course, performance always comes. The timing, scalability, if it has to be used by multiple users, reliability, how long it is working and continuously or consistently, so on and on. For developers, it is basically the code, the design review, the test cases, the unit test cases, the system test cases, the regression test cases, and blah blah blah. So basically, what all the developer side needs also should be there, but that is not what the business would see, right? So that's the comparison that shows up. So one other thing that comes up in agile process is the architecture. So how do we do architecture? Because architecture takes us 6 months, and how do you think in agile it happens? So architecture here is built over time. Nothing happens in day one. For example, when you start the sprints, it could be more time spent on it. For example, it could be like, let's say if you're doing 10 stories, 8 stories are on architecture, whereas 2 stories, we just show 2 icons on the web page, is basically a business feature. So you need to take something to show to the stakeholder, because when you go to the sprint review, you can't just say, I just did architecture. So that's the focus. And only when you put certain things on right in the face of the user interface or to the users, you will see how your architecture also works for it. So that way, this is also an iterative. So you will slowly see the reduction of the architecture time during the course and increase in the features. But that's how the architecture is built in the agile methodology. Move on. Sprint commitment. Yeah. So as we go through the sprint planning, the team says, yes, we will do this. The commitment is a commitment. So getting out of this is like a